What's up, Lore Masters? Today we'll be analyzing a novel series that has been requested quite a bit. We'll be breaking down the events in Star Trek Typhon Pact, or Typhoon for those who know Latin. In the years after the Dominion War and a full-on Borg invasion that included hundreds to thousands of cubes, the Federation continued to be the largest and most powerful nation in the Alpha Quadrant. In response to Starfleet domination, the Romulans, Breen, Tholian, Gorn, Zinkethi, and Kinshaya formed together under the Typhon Pact. This alliance of different species guaranteed that Starfleet was not able to enact its will upon the Alpha Quadrant just willy-nilly. In response, the United Federation of Planets, Klingon Empire, Cardassian Union, and Ferengi Alliance banded together to become known as the Khitomer Accords Alliance. These two power blocks would vie for control via sabotage, proxy war, and diplomatic intrigue. The confluence of all of these events would ultimately mean that the Alpha Quadrant would become a powder keg, with the captains of every ship very aware that any action they take could have devastating impacts. In fact, the Alpha Quadrant wouldn't have known such Cold War tensions since the Dominion Cold War. Things would begin to escalate in April, specifically the year of our Lord 2382, when Utopia Planitia is struck with an explosion and then rocked with another massive one, causing extreme amounts of damage and killing multiple security personnel as well as civilian contractors. In the wake of this terrorist attack, Starfleet Security and Intelligence determined that a person who claimed to be a Desev, a species that the Federation had never encountered before, was able to gain access to Utopia Planitia as an independent contractor. Before we continue, I do want to say that it's nice to see that Starfleet is still as inept as it has ever been. You know you have top-notch security when someone from a species no one has ever heard of is able to get onto one of the most secure installations in the Federation without much pomp and circumstance, and then is able to enact devastating terrorist attacks with people knowing little to nothing about them. I mean, the continuity here is just awesome, so shout out to the author. Fortunately, in the real world, we don't have to worry about a nation and its military knowingly ignoring untold amounts of unvetted persons to cross their open borders. If that were so, this book might open up discussion on the dangers of allowing unfettered access to one's country and facilities versus the need for compassion and helping those who truly are looking for a safe bastion. Starfleet Intelligence determines that the man, who claimed his name was Kezrin, was able to infiltrate Utopia Planitia, access the main computer, steal top secret schematics for the Federation slip drive, and escape by being transported to safety by a cloaked Romulan vessel while bombing Utopia Planitia as a diversion. There was a question of how a Romulan ship could have gotten so close, since Starfleet had perfected ways of detecting cloaked Romulan vessels by this time, and thus one able to bypass Starfleet security had been thought impossible. However, analysts in intelligence theorized that the Romulans had finally perfected their phased cloak technology, which would allow the Star Empire to travel anywhere in Federation space undetected. While the ability to now roam through the nations of the Khitomer Alliance's borders unfettered was distressing, the stolen slip drive being reverse engineered would be a much more devastating event that would shift the power in the Alpha Quadrant. The slipstream drive allowed the Federation and its allies to have a substantial tactical advantage. It was one of the very few reasons that war had yet to break out. The United Federation of Planets president, Nanita Bako, a woman who curses so casually while sober, I imagine she is a ton of fun while drunk, would at first be surprised and then incensed at the brazen attack by the Typhon Pact. Wow, I'm a poet and didn't even know it. In order to keep the Pact's diplomatic corps on the defensive, as well as prevent the attack from leaking to the public, the president would order that Starfleet and the Federation conduct a misinformation campaign to make the powers of the Typhon Pact believe that Starfleet had some weapon of mass destruction that it could use at any time. So, the president of a United Federation of various states would find that their country was now able to be on an even kill with a hostile enemy, and so creates a false flag campaign and threatens to use weapons that could cause extreme devastation to prevent that enemy from coming after them, even though such weapons don't exist. While the misinformation campaign was going and the Federation Diplomatic Corps would be working hard to cover up the attack, claiming it was an industrial accident, which, side note, how casually the president's cabinet talks about lying and even saying blah 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 is pretty quaint, especially when you consider that people died. Now I get that they're trying to BS people so that they can protect the Federation, but still, the lack of care for lives is very telling. Anyway, While the Federation Diplomatic Corps would continue to keep the public in the dark and the Typhon Pact on the defensive, the President would authorize Starfleet intelligence to be taken off their leash and a Black Ops mission put together. Starfleet would be allowed to utilize whatever methods they deem fit to recover the information and ensure that the Pact is unable to make their own slipstream drive before it escalates and the Cold War becomes a shooting one. Stay tuned as we see Starfleet intelligence and the Federation decide to take the gloves off. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.